LIEnette's in a federal bankruptcy court deposition in regards to 1.66 acres in Otter Creek that she claims is homesteaded, even though legally, since you're in an incorporated town, which LIEnette fought to keep incorporated, you can only homestead half an acre. She claims she owns 1.66 with 50% her ownership, 50% John Crook's ownership, yet John Crook's name is not on the legal deed at all. And she admits it under oath that he has no ownership, that she paid it all in cash for the property and he was supposed to pay for permits and structures. Not only that, she states to Randy under oath, Randy is my lawyer, that she only found out about What the Hales because her friend Jamie Starr Johnson was having the hots for Jeremy. That's interesting because I happen to have a series of text messages from LIEnette to Jamie Starr Johnson where LIEnette is explaining to Jamie who I am. LIEnette is a stalker. The last picture was a picture that Jamie Starr Johnson took while she was at LIEnette's beautiful property in Northport. LIEnette is showing Jamie who myself and George are. And she was shown this exact exhibit number 2, in her deposition, where she outright lies, stating that she only knows about me and George through Jamie. She lies a lot. Properly named LIEnette, or you could call her LIEnette, even though almost everything dies in her possession. But she's gone live this morning multiple times on Facebook and YouTube. You're not going to believe this. She authenticates for the federal court that her interview with the toothless fat fleece of flea, which she did while she's still under oath in the federal bankruptcy court, she authenticated it this morning for the Planet, saying, yes, I was live.
I know that I have my face covered, and that is just for my preference right now.
I can assure you that is the Planet's preference.
But I wanted everyone who ends up watching this to hear my voice. I did a live on
2 felons who commit fraud
and gave a lot of my truth and about what's going on. But I'm going to say this right now. Doxing someone's adoption papers, putting my little girl's sealed private adoption papers on the internet, naming her, using her name before birth and her name after the adoption, or her name at birth and then after the adoption, is 100% illegal.
Finally, LIEnette and I agree on something. She breaks the law a lot because the only person who ever placed adoption paperwork out on the internet was LIEnette. The Planet has copies of it because LIEnette made it public. Now, maybe she just doesn't remember this. You know, she has PTSD since she was a child. Wait! Nay, it's all the stress from the abuse from John Crook on the property. Nay, it could be Jeremy Hale's fault. Nay, You understand the constant victimese here. She is a pathological liar, complete and total manipulator. The only person that ever put these documents out online was LIEnette, and everybody has copies of it. So get ready. Apparently the cops are coming for you. Randy goes on in the deposition to ask about this property, which we now know LIEnette's legal name is not on the deed, except we still don't know her actual legal name. We know John Crook's name. It has nothing to do with the deed. Property records websites means nothing compared to the actual physical deed. She admits under oath Crook's name is not on the deed. As a matter of fact, in a live stream that evening or the evening after, she states in the live chat, she states publicly as well, that she and Crook are going to go down to the recorder's office and fix everything now on the deed. You're in the middle of a federal bankruptcy lawsuit where the federal court is seizing all the property, not 50%, 100%, which they are telling the judge that there is no ownership by Crook either. There will be no 50-50 division, that they are going to seize it all, and they have offered the property to me. I don't want it. So here's what we have. Randy goes on to say, okay, this property that is now located, is this in the incorporated municipal limits? Now, this is important based on homesteading. All of this is important based on homesteading. Her legal name has to be on a legal document, which doesn't exist. We don't even know what her name is. And it has to be legally homesteaded. And she's claiming Crook owns 50%. All of this has already been destroyed, wiped out within the very minute minutes of an actual deposition. So he's asking, are you within city limits, or in this case, Otter Creek town? Because that's important, because only 0.50, half an acre, can actually be homesteaded legally in Florida. By the way, there's many people going, there's homesteading in Ohio, Jeremy, you're wrong. There's no homesteading for me. I'm not of retirement age. Maybe watch a video based on the viewpoint of where it's coming from, not based on your situation or circumstances. That's just my encouragement there. Don't put words in my mouth that don't exist. Understand the intention. I do not have a homestead exemption in Ohio. I would love to have one. I don't, and I won't. And I won't have one in Florida either. So Randy's going on to say, all right, well, are you in city limits? Or this case would be the town. And she says, yeah, the property is. And Randy goes, okay, well, let's talk about the property. That's 1.66 acres, correct? We're just under 2 acres. And she goes, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Saran wrap got her back under order, but that does not last long. It actually gets completely and totally unhinged and out of control to the point where LIEnette storms out. And in her own words, Harley gathered up Crook and packed up and left. She's still to this day legally under oath, as she just went live this morning. I cannot believe the foolishness. All right, so Randy then goes, okay, so you've got this property that you acquired, right? You have all this property. And your ownership interest, which she's claiming is 50%, and Crook has 50%. He goes, okay, you're claiming you have 50%, Crook has 50%. Then did you have a legal occupancy permit on any structure on the property? Anything whatsoever? Do you have an occupancy permit? You can't have a homestead without a home. And you can't have a legal home. Has to be livable, has to be legal, without an occupancy permit. End of story. They have neither. They have sheds, they have a barn, it's a shell thing, and they have a camper, a second one, because they destroyed the first one. And I'm sure this one is on its path of being destroyed as well, and they will probably default on that loan, which both of their names are on. Okay. He's asking her, do you have an occupancy permit? This is pretty important. If you're claiming homestead, you have to have an occupancy permit. She says, I have no idea. She goes, there was no one living there. He goes, okay, let's go over this question again, as he's had to do time and time and time again. Let's go over it again. Pay attention. Listen to me. Look at me. This is a conversation. Stop going off on these different directions that nobody asked you about. When you closed on that day, on that beautiful piece of property in Otter Creek that Jamie Starr Johnson told you who your neighbors were across the street, which is a complete and total bold-faced lie. You understand she's looking at perjury charges in federal court. There's so many lies in her testimony in her depo. So many lies and so many things that we easily can prove over and over and over and over and over and over again. And she's the one giving all the proof and then claiming she's going to go after people legally for adoption records that she put out on the internet. I guess the authorities are coming for her. Randy says, pay attention. Let's go over this again. To live on that property, you got to have an occupancy permit. On that closing date, did you have an occupancy permit? And she goes, well, I thought you meant the previous owners. I thought you meant somebody else, not us. Who else would Randy be deposing? Previous owners, big sis, little sis? No, they never lived on the property. They bought the property through a tax sale, which is on the recorder site, which is the only place LIEnette knows how to see any information of the past on this property. She never knew and still doesn't know to this day how to find tax sales. And the only way you can get a tax sale piece of property is to pay the back taxes. Then you wait years for them to default on those taxes and boom, you own the piece of property in Florida. She did nothing. She didn't know about this property until she was watching What the Hales, and then she told Jamie Starr Johnson, she's going to make all of her money this way. There's a plan. I didn't show that text. There's a plan how she's going to make all this money. It's sick. Now, there's been plenty of people who have made their money off of me and my name. There's entire families that I've done nothing but give to, who have then done nothing but cause me problems, heartache, hurt. They've all benefited from me, my name, my businesses, as they trash me over and over again. Isn't that interesting how people can do this? By the way, there's more lawsuits coming. As a matter of fact, here's one right here. Look at that. There's another lawsuit. Isn't this amazing? Look, there's my legal name. There's my legal name from a legal document. That's the importance of a name. I've been called up for jury duty. This is going to be fun. I can't wait. This is going to be fun. All right. Randy's going on. Is there any occupancy? Is it available? Did you have anything? Did you have a permit? Did you have any permission to live in any structure on that property? At the closing date, she goes, I thought you met somebody else. He goes, this is a yes or no question. And she keeps going off on these tangents on all this garbage. Did you get building permit, occupancy permit? Did you have anything for this residential structure that you could live in on a closing date? She goes, that's not true what you're saying. There was a residential structure on the property when we closed. Okay. Miss McGenius here. There was condemned structure on the property. This is vacant land. So Randy goes on to say, but you couldn't be occupied, could it? That would have been against the law. And she goes, well, at that time, we didn't know. By the way, this is the same genius. Claims she knows everything about people getting in trouble, releasing adoption paperwork that she publicly posted online. This is the same genius that bought land without getting any mineral rights that can be sold to anybody. Who do you think owns them right now? You understand, when you buy a piece of property, you own everything above the ground. Mineral rights is owning everything below the ground. So I have gas on my property here at Hales Headquarters. I could put gas wells in right now. I have 2 water wells. I could put gas wells in. I own the gas. I own the mineral rights. You never buy a piece of property without owning the mineral rights. Like, that's 101. That is the very first thing when buying property. You always own the mineral rights. I would hate to think what's underground. Turd purgatory right now. It's got to be disgusting. Randy goes on, okay, so you know there's a structure, there's no occupancy permit. You didn't know that, now you know it. When did you learn it? You couldn't legally occupy any structure. She already knew this, by the way. We have the text messages that she said she was going to go live on the property in a tent. She already knew all of this, that she could not live in any of these structures. These structures were not livable at all. They had no floors. They were falling down on each other, filled with garbage. This place is a dump. Still is. It's actually worse now than it was. It's sick and it smells bad. And there's e-beggars living behind that great wall of Otter Creek. It's gross. She goes, weeks later, we found out. Okay. Randy wants to know, when did you move on the property then? She goes, 8 months to a year after we cleared it all out. Wait, so if it took you 8 months to a year to clear all this property and clean all this property, where'd you live? She goes, the campground. Wait, how does she know about the campground? Oh, that's right. She was watching What the Hales and showing it to Jamie Starr Johnson. So Randy goes on through a series of questions because this is very pertinent and very important. Have you ever been on that property prior to closing? She goes, yes, with permission of the real estate agent. Absolutely had 100% permission. Now, this is very important. You have to understand this. LIEnette continues to tell a lie, and Crook continues to tell a lie as well, is that they saw me driving my tractor up and down North Otter Creek Avenue. I would have no purpose whatsoever to drive my tractor up and down North Otter Creek Avenue when they purchased this property, because I did not own the schoolhouse yet, and I take the tractor back and forth to the schoolhouse, around the corner, to the ranch, wherever I need the equipment. I can't drive straight through. So they continue to tell this lie that they saw me on the road and said, hi, we're your new neighbors. Can you move this tree? Now the new lie is the tree was actually in the road. The tree was not in the road. The tree was 100% on the property. It was a giant tree. My tractor, frankly, wasn't big enough to actually push it. So I was able to break some branches off. And then Crook is going on now saying that he kicked my, you know what he's obsessed with, my honey buns. Kicked my honey buns off the property. Both lies. Number one, they never saw me driving my tractor up and down the road and said, hey, can you come and help us? Number two, Crook never kicked me off the property. Now, LIEnette was there telling me that she was going to boot him from the property. The very first thing she said is she wanted him out of his life and she wanted him to... It's sick. What happened was LIEnette emailed us at whatthehales@yahoo.com, which we have the email. How difficult is this for her to understand? She's caught in this lie so deep, so ridiculously deep. She emailed us, said, hi, we're your new neighbors. Can you come over and can you bring your tractor over and move this tree off of the property? I went, okay, established a date. That's the neighborly thing to do, right? You have a new neighbor, they need your equipment. I have no problem helping my neighbors out. When my neighbors are stalkers, my neighbors are actually putting up signs saying I did something inappropriate to a then 3-year-old, which is now almost 7, still in diapers, that is a major problem. We're not neighbors anymore, or neighborly. So, she goes on, did you tell anybody? You tell anybody that, or Randy goes on to say, did you tell anybody prior to the closing date in 2021 that you actually were the owner of this property? And she goes, well, I probably did. We already put down the deposit. Our money was down. We made an offer. Whatever it is that you do. Hold a second. This woman has owned how many pieces of property? Iowa, Northport, now Otter Creek. And she's saying, whatever it is that you do. Whatever it is that you do. Okay. So she's admitting probably, but she's not giving a definite answer. She's not giving a positive. She's not giving a negative. Gee, shocking, right? Oh, it gets crazier. Randy goes, well, you're an intelligent person, aren't you? So when did you put this offer down? When did you do anything along these lines? You didn't own the property prior to closing. Is that correct? You did not own this property prior to closing on it. She goes, we were the buyers of the property. Randy goes to the court reporter, will you please repeat the question? She's not answering the question. That's an issue. She goes, I absolutely did own it. No, wait. She goes, no, I read that wrong from what I wrote. She goes, did I absolutely own it? No. Was I the buyer? Keep in mind, she's asking questions. She's asking questions to Randy. Did I absolutely own it? No. Was I the buyer? The only buyer of the property? Question mark. Yes, we were already in it. How can you be in a property when you don't even own it? Randy goes, listen, I asked the questions here. And he's constantly reminding her, I asked the questions. Stop asking me questions. And let's get this straight for the record again. Prior to closing, you did not own the property, correct? She finally snaps, correct. With her two teeth. Man, I wonder if you put FLEASE's gummy toothless mouth and LIEnette's gummy toothless mouth together, if you would even get a full mouth of teeth. My bet's no. I'd take that bet any day. Randy goes, okay, and when we're talking about this property from now on, when we say the property in this deposition, I'm referring to the property in Otter Creek. And you understand that? She says, yep. Okay. So again, prior to the closing, did you tell people that you were the owner of this property? You did, didn't you? Isn't that correct? She goes, no, I didn't. He goes, you never did that? No, I didn't. You realize Randy already has the email. Randy has all the information. Randy has all the evidence. He knows all the answers of all the questions he's asking before he ever even asks it. He goes, okay. By the way, remember she took a picture by the drive-through sign with Jamie Starr going, new neighbors, hearts on the mend. I've shared this screenshot so much, I'm not even going to take the time to do it again. So you realize Randy is now referring to new neighbors, and he goes, did you tell people that you were their new neighbors? And what does that mean to you? And she goes, neighbors? They're going to be our neighbors. They are our neighbors. Yes, I said it. They're going to be our neighbors. We were purchasing the land. Now, I underlined that quite a bit there, like 3 underlines, because she didn't say house. She said land. There's a deed, vacant land. There's no structure. There's no occupancy permit under oath. She even says we were buying the land. Randy goes, okay, ma'am, we've been through this so many times already. I'm just shaking my head, taking notes like crazy, not believing what I'm hearing. Randy goes, when you purchase something, you're not an owner until you actually own it. Correct? She goes, in your opinion? Now she starts getting very, very volatile. He goes, I'm asking how you understand the word neighbor. She goes, I understand it. We were purchasing the property and they were our neighbors. I couldn't even imagine being Randy there with the stench coming from that mouth. It had to be horrific. It had to be horrible. Okay. So Randy goes, when you're purchasing the property, you're not their neighbor, right? In your opinion, she screams back at him. So Randy goes, okay, then what's your opinion? Tell me, what's your opinion? She goes, we were purchasing the property. They were our neighbors. Randy says, okay, we're going to try this again. This is important for the record for court. Legality matters in a legal lawsuit, and she's in the biggest one of her life. She is losing everything. When you tell somebody, I'm your new neighbor, what do you understand that to mean? Do you understand it to mean, oh, I'm not actually your neighbor, but I'm trying to be your neighbor? Is that what you were saying when you introduced yourself to Jeremy as, I'm your new neighbor? She goes on to say all this ridiculous stuff. I had the papers, I had the documents, they had all been signed. Everything was ready. Our buyer of our home at Northport was having problems with financing. Sounds a little familiar to old LIEnette and CROOK there, huh? You know, they have to humble themselves now to ask people to give them money for these lawsuits. As if LIEnette just posted that a day or two ago. As if they haven't done this their entire pathetic, grifting lives. They have to humble themselves now to ask people for money. It's all they ever do. That's why they came to Otter Creek. That's why they stalked. That's why they wanted 1.66 acres. That's why they wanted to live in a tent. Try and make me feel sorry for them. Think I'm going to build a barnuminium for them. Never, ever going to happen. We had all the papers. We had all the documents. Everything was signed. Everything was ready. Our buyer was having problems with financing. He had it. He had to wait for it. So there was a period of time that we had to wait for the money to get cleared. Interesting. So they did have money at one point from him, the buyer. After, I'm almost positive. I cannot prove it. I don't have proof on this one. I'm almost positive they probably broke an agreement with whoever remodeled that house in Northport. They did not pay for the remodel. Another organization did. And then they turned around and flipped it, and they both had $65,000 in their pockets. They split the profit. It was a rug house. Before they were in it, while they were in it. So she goes, in my mind, we are the buyers of the property. And Randy goes, yeah, but you didn't buy it yet. You didn't own it. And she goes, whatever you say. And she starts getting nasty with him. So before she won't even look at him, before she won't even make eye contact, and he's got to have a communication here with her in a deposition. Now she's just, whatever you say, whatever you say. He goes, no, it's not what I say. This is your testimony under oath. You testified this. I can't put words into your mouth. You need to confirm with a yes or a no. In July of 2021, did you own the property? She goes, in July of 2021, no. It's odd because I have an email from her in July of 2021, multiple emails, stating that they were the new owners of the property and could I come over with my tractor and move the tree. So you couldn't have been their neighbor, could you have? She goes, whatever you say. This is where Randy goes, I can't even begin to give you the detail of the insanity of what's going on back and forth now, okay? I can't overlap communication over each other. I'm just one person. And the nastiness, the volatileness from LIEnette, she won't answer any question. Now it's just whatever you say, whatever you say. That's not okay in any deposition whatsoever. So Randy has to get Saran Wrap involved again. Saran Wrap, can you please instruct your client, your witness, to not say whatever I say, that She has to legally answer the questions. And he does. He goes, LIEnette, you have to answer these questions. And he does it on the record. Now, before he was asking to reprimand her off the record. Now it's just going full force on the record. He's reprimanding her on the record. You have to answer these questions. She goes, I did answer in my mind. Something in that empty cavity between her empty mouth. There's no teeth. How does that answer get on the record for the court reporter? It doesn't. She goes, the paperwork was already done. We already paid our money. Everything was gone through. Everything was completed. I considered them to be my neighbors. Could I have been wrong? Now she's asking Randy questions again. Obviously, she was wrong. She was lying. And she had me illegally trespassing on a piece of property multiple times. Lying, stating that she was the owner and had me on the property with my tractor. And then again, she told me, oh, go film it. You can go film it. See what it's all about over there. She wanted promotion. As you could see in the text messages with Jamie Starr Johnson, she was going to make her money. And she was going to do it by using me. Plenty of people have done that on YouTube. Want to befriend me? Want to start up a channel? Want to start up YouTube channel? Want to even start up Whatnot? Want to make money off of me starting up Whatnot? And then do some of the most horrific things to me. It's amazing when you tell a person no, in this current culture, how insane they can get in a heartbeat. Saran Wrap tells her, you have to answer. She says, I did in my mind. The paperwork was already done. We paid our money. Everything was going through. It's my neighbors. They're my neighbors. I could have been wrong. Maybe. Do you feel it was wrong? She goes, that's your opinion. My opinion? Randy asked. Let's try this again. It's just not as hard as you're making it. When you say to somebody, I'm your neighbor or I'm your new neighbor, you think that's acceptable to say to somebody? When you haven't even purchased, you don't even own the property. There's no closing. You have no ownership whatsoever. You think that's a truthful statement to say to somebody, I'm your new neighbor? She goes, well, if I was wrong for saying it, then that's your opinion. I don't feel I was wrong. Randy then goes, Saran Wrap. Obviously, he's not saying Saran Wrap. He's saying Jerome. Saran Wrap. Please control your witness and to not refer to what I'm saying. That's not what I'm asking, and your individual, your client must answer the questions that I'm asking. Tell her to stop referring to what I'm saying and to what's in my opinion. Saran Wrap on the record says, listen, I'm sorry, my apologies. Saran Wrap tells her, listen to the question. And he goes, it sounds like you're actually trying to answer it. You need to listen. She goes, they were my neighbors, meaning myself and George. Even though in 2021, the summer when she got there, George wasn't even there. George didn't come till next winter. She goes, the sale was going through. We were the only ones on the property. Paperwork was done. Everything had been done for that property except for the people's money. We just needed the money. In other words, she didn't own it. That's it. I was excited. They were my neighbors. New neighbors. If I'm wrong for that, then I apologize for thinking they were our neighbors. Oh, we'll never be neighbors. You pathetic, toothless coward. You won't be living there much longer in your pathetic life, grifting off of everybody and everyone. You are a sorry excuse for a human being. You're a sorry excuse for a minister, and you probably failed just as much as a pole dancer. Randy then goes on to say, so legally, now you understand that you weren't legally their neighbors in July of 21 when you made that statement? She refuses to answer. She shuts down. He goes, you need to answer. Answer the question. He goes, in your opinion, it was not neighbors. In my opinion, it was. Whoa. Randy goes, okay, in your opinion, let's try this one more time. In your opinion, you were legally neighbors in July of 2021. You said, I'm your new neighbor. Correct? You said that to Jeremy, right? I can't recall. Randy's getting nowhere with her. Saran Wrap can't control her. She's all over the place. Listen, what I'm sharing with you is very calm, collected, compared to what she was acting like all over the place. Insanity. Randy goes, I'm going to ask you a question again of what you believe right now. She goes, well, good, because I can't lie. I'm sorry if you think I'm lying. The only thing that comes out of this woman's mouth is lies. She said on the record that she didn't know what the Hales was. And in the beginning of this video, I just proved it through text messages from Jamie Stark Johnson that she's the one that told Jamie what the Hales was. Pathological, pathetic liar. Oh, but on the record, she said she can't lie. Randy says, well, if you can't lie, then tell us the truth. I am telling you the truth. In my mind, they were my neighbors. I'm not asking you what's in your mind, Randy says. As you sit here today, do you understand that when you tell somebody, I'm your new neighbor, that you've legally purchased the property, that's a false statement? She goes, okay, it's true. Sure, whatever. Randy goes, you being sarcastic right now? Ma'am, are you being sarcastic? You're in a deposition right now in a federal court case. She goes, you're badgering me. He goes, ma'am, I'm not badgering you. Saran Wrap goes, Michelle, you need to answer the questions. He said some other stuff too. I forget. At one point, he was like, listen, just pause. Like, just listen. It's your benefit to stop talking when Randy is talking and just let there be a gap of time. He goes, Saran Wrap is telling, this is to your benefit to stop this. Saran Wrap goes, Randy, I think she answered the question. Can we please move on? And Randy goes, well, no, she didn't. She qualified the answer with badgering, so we can't officially use that as a legal answer in the deposition. So let's get back to the question. Let's get an actual question and an answer for the question. And so Randy goes, are you freely and willingly saying, this is important, legality, that you agree when you tell somebody that you're their neighbor or you're their new neighbor and you legally haven't acquired the property, that's a very false statement? She goes, I'm not gonna lie, so I can't answer it the way you want me to. Randy's already told her from the very beginning, we're all after the same thing, the truth. So she can't lie because she's under oath in the deposition, even though she's lied like crazy already. So now she can't lie? I mean, how many lies do there have to be until she can't lie? I don't think she's run out of lying yet. And Randy never asked her to answer any question the way that he wants her to answer a question. Randy goes on, what do you need more in this question? It is literally a yes or a no. She goes, can you please show me documentation that if you're purchasing a property, you're not allowed to say somebody's your new neighbor? If you show me that documentation, I'll agree with you. This is not what a deposition is about. Saran Wrap goes, listen, he says, Michelle, LIEnette, it sounds like you're trying to answer the question, but you're being very argumentative. Can you just stipulate to an answer? Yes or no? And then Saran Wrap even asked Randy, can we stipulate that there was an answer? And Randy goes, no, we can't. She's under oath. She never answered yes or no. She goes, I'm not trying to be argumentative. Saran Wrap is literally reprimanding her on the record, telling her she's being argumentative. In my opinion, we were their neighbors. The sales was doggone done. I wrote doggone because I couldn't believe that was in a deposition on the record under oath. Doggone. Doggone. Doggone, doggone, dog, diddity-dong. It was doggone done. I need some new t-shirts. Otter Creek, the Great Wall of Turd Purgatory. Pretty soon. Doggone gone! Oh. It's going to be removed. By who? That's what we're going to find out. I don't know who's purchasing the property, but I know it ain't me. I don't want anything to do with it. And I can tell you, any owner of that piece of property, the very first thing they're going to do is tear down that ridiculous eyesore. She goes, we just needed the money. If you're telling me it's wrong to say that, then I'll concede. It was wrong for me to say that somebody was my neighbor when the sale wasn't done. Randy goes, okay, so you agree now that you understand that the property isn't yours in July of 2021. And if you tell somebody I'm your neighbor, if you haven't acquired legal ownership of said property, that's not true. That's a very false statement. You realize on the record, we now have LIEnette's lies documented. Randy goes, as you sit here today, do you understand that when you tell somebody that you're their neighbor and you don't own the property, that's 100% false. And this is how I want you to answer. Yes or no. She goes, sure, yes. She admitted she's a liar. LIEnette, finally, after yesterday telling the truth during this deposition, that Crook owns none of the property whatsoever. And you're going to get more information about that. He never paid any of it either. It's all in her name. It was always supposed to be in her name. She was kicking him off of the property. She was kicking him out of her life. And yet there he is. So she tells the truth. Crook doesn't own any part of the property whatsoever. And now she admits she's a liar. She was never the neighbor. Sure, yes! My precious property is a legacy. Not for her or for anybody related to her. Randy goes, thank you! So tell us now. What was the condition of the property? How many structures were on there when you acquired the property in October 2021? She goes, there were 3 houses. He goes, 3 houses? She goes, yeah, 3 houses. Okay, Randy says there were 3 houses. Tell us about number 1. She goes, the oldest house. It was built in the 1800s. It was filled with garbage. It was full of records and toys and trash, whatever. And house number 2. Randy goes, whoa, wait, stop right there. First of all, she didn't finish the question on house number 1. And he goes, there's house number 2? And she goes, it was demolished. I gotta admit, this is kind of news to me. And I was actually on the property once that there are 3 homes. I don't believe there were 3 homes at all. Pathetic structures? Yeah. Condemned structures? Yes. But homes? Absolutely not. So Randy makes her pause on home number 2 because he needs to know more about home number 1. And obviously you know where this is going. Every structure is condemned. It's sold as vacant land. It's deeded as vacant land. And she's claiming she has a homestead with no occupancy permit whatsoever to actually get a homestead exemption. She's illegally getting a homestead exemption currently in Florida, with no home. There is no legal livable structure. So when her plan was to live in a tent with a medically fragile child, that didn't go well. So then they got a camper. They spent this money that they had 65 grand a piece in their pockets, burned holes. They couldn't spend it fast enough. New Jeep Gladiator, new camper. We had new sheds on the property, multiple sheds on the property. So they lived in the camper. They neglected the camper. Her theory and her lie now, black mold. You know what you do with black mold? You clean it. You take care of the things God has gifted to you, especially if other people are paying for it, and you clean it. But she didn't. She defaulted on the loan. They came, seized the property. Then they're in the shed filled with lice. Yes, lots of lice. Fleas. Oh boy, the annoyance of fleas. And then she tries to get Lloyd's camper, tries to get Jamie's camper, she tries to get anybody's camper. She tried to get Mary Mathis Scary's camper. All this time, Bad Tina, who sold me the property, the 70 acres illegally, with her husband, Brian, you know, the artist of the finger, who literally uses that name on YouTube, self-incriminating himself. I mean, this is how stupid these people are. Between all of them, are they all sharing one brain cell? Because there's definitely not a full brain. It's mind-boggling. Literally mind-boggling how stupid these people are. They're trying to buy the property for under the value of what even LIEnette and CROOK paid for it, underneath them, trying to get it from them. Yeah, that won't be happening in Otter Creek either. Randy, tell me more. I need to know more about this first house. So he goes, tell me more. What's going on with this house number one? She goes, we demolished it. Who demolished it? We did. Okay, why did you demolish it? Because we didn't want it on the property. It's home. Could have been there. Your child has a medically life-threatening disease. He didn't say that. I'm throwing that in there. I don't think he said it. Probably thinking it. Potentially. Why'd you demolish it? She goes, because we didn't want it on the property. Why not? Because it's garbage. Oh. LIEnette tells the truth again. She lives on a dump. She's very proud that she takes a dump in a bucket. Randy goes, when you say garbage, what does that mean? Why don't you just clean up the garbage and live in the house? She goes on again. Oh, it was from the 1800s. It wasn't livable. Thank you. Exactly what we need to contest a homestead exemption in federal court. She has no legal name. Her non-legal name is the only name on the deed. The deed is vacant property. She has no occupancy permit. She had condemned structures that weren't livable, and this is her words on the record. In other words, she illegally has a homestead exemption right now with Levy County, and frankly, they should go back and make her pay all back taxes for the exemption. We'll get to that later. A little forecasting. Foreshadowing never hurts. If you say it's garbage, why not clean everything else up? Just live in there as a family. It was from the 1800s. It wasn't livable. Angels just coming down. My goodness, she just handed it on the silver platter, isn't she? The reality is we already have all this documented from Levy County. We have everything. We have everything from Levy County. By the way, if I were to show you some of the text messages of what LIEnette says about FLEASE to Levy County, to the engineer, to Bo, to... We have it all. You're going to see it. It will be entered as exhibits in the federal bankruptcy court. You're going to see exactly what she has to say about FLEASE. It's amazing. Oh, and there's nothing positive at all. At all. He goes, it wasn't livable. She goes, because it was no longer a structure. It was falling down. Yeah, so are her lies. All crumbling down around her. Old Crooky boy, too. You know, he'll go toe-to-toe with me anytime as he runs away, like the pathetic coward he is. Okay. So Randy thanks her, always being polite during this process. Thank you. So house number 1 was no longer even structured. It was non-livable. Tell me about house number 2. She goes, house number 2 is basically the same thing. It was a little cabin type home, a little house in the woods. It wasn't suitable for living. Why wasn't house number 2 suitable? I don't know. Ask Levy County. Thank you again. Handing it on a platter. Everything is condemned. Randy goes, what does Levy County have to say about it? She goes, Levy County told us if we're going to rebuild, we needed to demolish it. So we did. All right, Randy goes, now you're throwing something else completely and totally in. If you weren't going to rebuild, was house number 1 or house number 2, were you able to actually remodel and live in them? She goes, no. Levy County told us we had to take it down. He goes, I don't care what Levy County told you. I'm asking for you to describe the condition of each of these structures. So we went over house number 1. Now we're talking about house number 2. It wasn't livable. Is that correct? You purchased the property and 2 homes weren't even livable. Let's talk about house number 3 then. She goes, house number 3? It wasn't structural. The outside of the house was in okay condition. But inside, the floor was not structurally okay. The electrical was not okay. The floor. It's pretty easy. I mean, I've been repairing the floors in a structure, in a building that I bought. Yeah. I know about floor work. I do that quite a bit. And electrical, that's pretty easy too. So Randy asked the question that probably everybody is thinking right now. Why not just repair the floor and the electrical? Why would you build a brand new house when all you would have to do is repair a floor and repair the electrical in this 3rd home that's on this precious piece of property? Oh, you're going to love this answer. We went to Levy County. We asked engineers. No, hold a second. Went to Levy County, asked engineers to come out. Now, if you recall earlier, she has PTSD and she can't remember anything. And she's about to get into an hour-long conversation that she remembers every detail with Levy County engineers. PTSD. Selective. That's what it is, I guess. We went to Levy County. We had an engineer come out and look at the property, and they deemed it was unfit to live in. You think? And we needed to replace it. So that's what we did. Randy wants to ask the question, why? Why replace it? Did the engineer say it was unfit to live in? I just answered that! The floor was not in good condition. The electric wasn't appropriate. She goes on to list all of these things that are wrong with it. Which Randy appropriately says, but why do a new build when you don't have the money? You could have just remodeled this. Did he tell you why you weren't able to remodel? She goes, it would have just cost too much money. And to build a new structure, that's what we wanted. We wanted it the way we wanted it, and it was too much to remodel these homes. He goes, okay. By the way, we already know all 3 structures are condemned. We already have all the paperwork from the county. There have been meetings with the county in preparation for this. We have all communication, everything. From FLEASE, from LIEnette, from CROOK, we have everything. Every message, we have it all. It was all FOIA'd. Is that your testimony under oath? That to redo a floor and redo the electrical to make this structure livable that it was less expensive to build a new home from the ground up? She goes, that house was ugly. That's what she said about her beautiful daughter in glasses as well. Yeah, LIEnette posted that. Sick. That house was just not right. I don't know what you call it, whether it's structural, whether it's the shape, whether it's... We couldn't have used it even if we wanted to. We knew what we wanted. They told us we couldn't fix it. Oh, there we go. Levy County said it's condemned. We said, okay, so we're just going to pick what we want. Apparently what they want is a shelving. Apparently what they want is to live in tents. Apparently what they want is to grift campers and RVs. Apparently what they want is fleas and lice in sheds that are illegal to live in as well. Randy goes, okay, so they said you couldn't fix it. Did you ask even to get an occupancy permit on that structure? House number 3, house number 1, house number 2, house number 3. Did you try and get an occupancy permit on anything? She goes, they came out, they looked at it, they deemed it inappropriate. And so they told us we had to take it down. We had to build new. We had to have a replacement. They told us to do a replacement build. So that's what we did. The planet is still waiting to see this replacement build. Literally, somebody on the other side of the world gave $56,000 for a replacement build for a home for a child. Literally, out of the mouth of the toothless fat flea, stated that others gave even more than that amount. By her own confession, over $100,000 has been given towards LIEnette, CROOK, and Harley. And yet the fat, toothless flea hasn't given any of the money over. That's what we call defrauding. That's what we call illegal. That's what we call... Stay tuned. Oh, there's something bigger brewing.